2 videos in 2 weeks. Oh boy, I do spoil you all. Welcome back everyone to more from the Sableyes. I'm Mitch, and today, again, we will be playing some Pokemon cards, and I figured it probably is a good time, just before the release of Evolving Skies, to get into a couple more janky, terrible decks. So, let's take a look at Double Weezing. Well, actually, it's more Triple Weezing. We've got 3 different Weezing cards here to take a look at, but the one that we are most interested in is the Smog Burst Weezing from our most recent set, Chilling Reign. Smog Burst does 20 damage, plus an extra 20 for each dark energy attached to our Pokemon, and it does that for a dark and a colourless energy. Now that is really good in combination with our Galarian Weezing from the same set, which has Energy Factory as its ability, means that every basic dark energy that's attached to our Pokemon with Weezing in their name provides 2 dark energies instead of 1, so that means we can realistically get this attack off for 1 attachment, and every energy that we have in the field of play attached to one of our Weezing gives us 2 extra energy, which is fantastic. We can also accelerate energy into play using Galarian Moltres. Obviously, the Dire Flame Wings ability, a very good one to try and get energies in play. And we also have things like Turbo Patch to try and get energy from the discard pile onto our Weezings or Koffings, which is also very, very good. Now, I've done a little bit of a cheeky move here and put a 3rd Weezing in. The old neutralizing gas Weezing is still pretty solid. I like it quite a bit, so we're going to include that, but it's not going to be our main go-to copy of Weezing. We obviously want to take knockouts with Smog Burst. Now, you might say, obviously, we're going to get 20 damage from attaching to the Moltres. How are we going to get those energies off? Well, we're going to use Energy Switch, which I've managed to find gold copies of, because I'm a very, very lucky person, and we're going to move them off of our Pokemon onto our Weezing, so we can deal even more damage. It seems like a relatively good plan, but this deck isn't necessarily a good one, so hopefully our Smog Burst Weezing can get some attacks off, we can win a couple of games. And thus we begin. We have ourselves a Koffing in the active, and it looks like our opponent is playing that pesky Shadow Rider Calyrex. Luckily, we have a nice weakness against it. Our hand at the moment is not necessarily amazing, but we have Dedenne. We can play that if we want, to be honest. Yeah, I think we probably do. We might not have had to there, but it's okay. I don't mind too much. I do mind this terrible hand, however. I'd really rather not research this away, but I think we're going to have to. We need to find more Koffings. We've found one, which is good. We might potentially be able to turn a Oricorio into a second if we want to. I think it's probably worth doing to try and have a look and see if we can get another Koffing out. Maybe even a Moltres, actually. Let's do that. We can start accelerating some energies into play with Dire Flame Wings. And then we can use Ascension, and I like the idea here of that one-of neutralizing gas Weezing, because it means that our opponent won't be able to utilize their abilities, which are obviously going to be a big part of our opponent's deck. Shadow Rider Calyrex really relies on getting those extra energy attachments, so our Weezing in the active means that they won't be able to do that, which I like. I'm a big fan of that. Now, obviously, this is a video that has been coming for a while. I think that I really need to get into the swing of doing these more frequently. I'm going to try and do like 3 a week, but I can't guarantee anything. So if you are an avid fan of the channel, thank you very much for sticking with me over the last few weeks. In fact, it's been a month before I've realistically done anything other than just kind of do a bit here and there. So thank you very much for sticking with me. I will say though, I'm going to try and get them going a little bit more frequently. So hopefully it does start to pick up from here. But again, no promises. Anything could happen. We are in lockdown though in Canberra, which is a bit of concern, really. But that's okay. It's gonna be fine. Our opponent has used Horror House, which means that we are going to be slightly behind here. But you know what? We're going to Severe Poison our opponent's Gengar and Mimikyu, and then we're going to move on with our life. We're just going to hope that this is enough. I mean, we're about to have a whole bunch of damage dealt to us. I'm not a fan of that, but we can just use the Moltres to take a knockout, which I'm fine with. Actually, they're going to Marnie us here. Okay. That's weird. They've got... they mustn't have had an energy. They mustn't have had an energy. Well, I never. This is going to be a very sad poltergeist when this guy clicks the attack. Oh, my word. Nope. It's all energies. Whoops. All energies. And we have a boss now as well, so... That's another interesting card. I think we're just going to Severe Poison, because the most our opponent can deal this turn is another, like, 40 damage, 50 damage to us with Poltergeist, so I'm not worried about that at all. Yeah, that was a very weird series of events that just occurred there. They might not even Poltergeist, depending on what they think I've drawn into. You still attack, right? They still attack. You'd have to think so. I can't imagine that they wouldn't attack. They're actually going to use Boss. Okay, so they're going to boss out the Moltres. So that they can use their abilities. That makes sense. And they're actually going to get a couple of Underworld doors off here. Can they get enough damage in play to knock this Moltres out? I'm not sure. I can't remember what the maths is anymore. But you know what? If they do attack with this Gengar Mimikyu here, we can actually gust out the Cali that has the energy on it and hit into that, knock that out, and then leave us the Gengar and Mimikyu as an easy KO later on. Or we can attack into the Gengar Mimikyu now, knowing that there's very little chance of our opponent actually knocking us out, and hopefully that's enough to win the game. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, our opponent still has plenty to do yet. Looks like they're grabbing Dedenne. Let's make sure that I'm actually recording here, because I've not done this in a while. They're grabbing Dedenne, and then we'll see how this goes from here. What do they do? What do they do? What do they do? Got another Calyrex. So they've got all three of the pieces that they need. They're going to accelerate another energy, and they're going to put that onto the fresh Calyrex. Now they've got 6 energies in play, which is a pretty solid amount, but I don't know if it is enough to knock me out. In fact, I don't think it is. No, it's not. They're going to just miss, I think. Unless they haven't manually attached yet. That's a big one. They're actually just going to Poltergeist. Okay, so we have a very interesting situation here, and top decking that research makes this decision a lot easier. We can gust out the dude bro and knock it out, the Calyrex. We can do that very easily. Take 3 prizes here now. Our opponent is in a position where they can either attack with the Gengar and Mimikyu, and hopefully they can get an attack off with it and take a knockout, or they can send forward a Calyrex and hope that we don't get enough energy in play to take a KO with the Weezing. But the good thing that we do have going for us is that we are giving up so many less prizes than our opponent that we can afford to wait a couple of turns for our opponent to make a mistake, or for us to be set up. We don't need to like go in super duper hard here to get a KO this turn. So we are in a pretty strong position realistically. We will of course see how we go. They're actually coming in with the Gengar and Mimikyu again. So it looks like they are going to try and Poltergeist here for the knockout, and that makes this even easier. If we can find ourselves a Weezing with which to attack, we may be able to get the knockout. I think it's going to be enough. So let's throw this Koffing forward. We've got a switch here, which is, you know, not particularly useful. I'm going to get rid of that switch. We're going to grab, I think, the Moltres. It's a pretty strong card in this situation. We will attach an energy to the active. We'll play use Dire Flame Wings. We'll flip this Turbo Patch, see if we can't get a heads, and we do. So we will put it onto the Moltres. I will play down the Koffing and then research. Hopefully we find a Weezing and can just attack, and we can. So that's beautiful, and I think we've got plenty of damage here to Smog Burst and take the knockout. That's 240 damage with a 1 prize attacker, and that's a pretty comprehensive victory. I mean, we did have weakness going for us. Okay, so we have a substantially worse start in this game. We at least have a Koffing that we can attach to, but a Dedenne in the active is not ideal. We will just leave... Oh, actually, we're going to switch into the Koffing. I'm going to leave it at that. We've got the attacker, which is good. We can potentially take a knockout on the Mew next turn if it stays in the active. But I don't know what we're playing against here. What deck does stuns? Oh, we're playing against Durant Mill. Okay, fair enough. This should theoretically be a win. Because all we realistically need to do is get energy into the field of play, and every single turn we have, we're dealing more and more damage. We should be fine. So there should be no issues there at all. Our opponent has thrown down a Galar Mine, which could potentially become a problem later on, because we don't want to get our Koffing, our Dedenne stuck into the active position. That would be less than desirable. Looks like our opponent has plenty of Durant, and then they're going to Psi Power, and you know what? That's a-okay by me. I don't think it ever matters. I'm going to evolve into Weezing. We're going to attach, and then we're going to Marnie, and we're going to try and find, if we can, some extra resources here. Maybe something like a Moltres, which we could potentially grab. I think we're going to go for it. We're going to get rid of that energy and grab the Moltres here. And now our Smog Burst will be able to knock out everything in our opponent's field of play. I'm also going to grab Dedenne and just rip through this little bit here. I probably shouldn't be worried, but I want to get another Koffing, and I've got one. I shouldn't be worried about it because my opponent is obviously trying to mill me, but I want to find that other Weezing so that I can deal even more damage. So let's try and do that, shall we? Our opponent throws the Durant up. They're going to put the Cursed Shovel on and the Twin Energy, so they've got both of the pieces that they require. They're going to be, milling 3 cards, maybe 4 if they get another, and they're throwing forward the boss's orders, so this Dedenne potentially locked into the active position if we don't keep our switch. Our opponent's going to be trying to get rid of our hand as best as possible, but it looks like we do hold on to it, which is lucky. To be honest, we probably should be a little bit less gung-ho with these resources, but that's okay. It's fine. Let's just Smog Burst. Take the knockout. We're going to lose a couple of cards, but our opponent has, 2 cards in hand. Chances of them having something that's useful, pretty slim. They do promote the Durant, though, rather than the Pokédoll, which means that they are probably in a position to do whatever they like. And they're actually going to Yelling Horn. Sorry, not Yell. What's it called? Bellowing, Echoing Horn? Been a long time since I've played any games, to bring the Oricorio out, and then they're going to Cricketune, they're going to grab that Durant with the energy, capture energy, and then they're just thinning away, they're just thinning out their deck. That's all they need to do. Just get rid of all these Pokemon, discard 2 cards from the top of your opponent's deck. Fair enough. No energy, so we manage to survive a little bit here. We also have a boss's orders, so we can Diaflame Wings. I like that. We can attach to a Koffing. And then I think we're just going to take the knockout here. I think we just play nice and slow, nice and relaxed. We just take the knockouts as they come. We're going to hold the boss's orders in our hand. And we're going to knock that Cricketune out at some point for some extra prizes. But if our opponent keeps throwing Durants into the active for us, it's going to make this game really easy, because we can just knock them out over and over and over, and now I feel like we're actually in a position where we are going to go on to win this game. We've got the Diaflame Wings, we can attach an energy. I'm just going to throw that on a Dedenne, not that it matters. And then we can Smog Burst, we'll take the knockout. Our opponent, they could thin our hand out by using something like a Reset Stamp or a Marnie. That would be frustrating. We have a boss in our hand, and hopefully we have another one left somewhere in our deck. Our opponent actually has promoted the Dunsparce here, and they're going to flip on the Pokemon Catcher. That is, ooh, that would have been very concerning, because we don't have a huge amount of ways of dealing with that coin flip. In the end, doesn't matter though, our opponent has nothing to do. We are just going to gust up this Cricketoon and take the last 2 prizes. So it didn't matter that I was gung-ho with those resources. We get the knockouts, we get the wins. Weezing comes up. We're going to play another game so we can get the full effect though. Here we go, a perfect start. Double Koffing, plus we also get the Koffing off of the top deck. We are up against Decidueye Inteleon here, ladies and gentlemen. So this is going to be a very, very interesting matchup. To be honest, I have no idea how this is going to go, but I feel like getting as many Koffings in play as possible leads to as many Weezing as we need, and we can take as big a knockout as required. The words are hard. Hopefully we can get ourselves the win in this one. The hand is pretty good, to be honest. We do have a boss if we manage to top deck a good card. Looks like they're going to go for the Gourmandize for 7 there, which is quite substantial. I feel like maybe Marnie is the way to go, and we have top decked an attacking Weezing here, which I like very, very much. Let's throw the energy onto that Weezing. I'm going to boss, actually, since we top decked that, and I'm going to Smog Burst, take the knockout on the Rowlet, get rid of the energy attachment. They can have their hand. I don't really mind about that. And hopefully next turn we can get ourselves into a bit more energy. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, we do have to be concerned about the spread that this deck can do. Decidueye and Inteleon, both a very, very potent combination of spreading damage around. Hopefully, it all works out for the best. I'm sure that it will. But, you know, you never know. Now, we do need to find the Galarian Weezing so that I can get the full effect off, because I cannot very well sit here and tell you how cool this combination of cards is without it working. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everyone, we just draw into one right now. We didn't, but we found ourselves a Pokémon Communication. I can live with that. To be honest, we might need... Oh, I was about to say we might need to use it to get a Dedenne, but it's fine, whatever, don't worry about it. We're just going to top deck it. Let's get rid of our Weezing here. We're going to grab ourselves the Galarian Weezing, and we're going to evolve into that now. Then we are going to Dedenne and draw 6 cards. Now, to be honest, I probably should have evolved that other Koffing, but you know what? Never punished. We find another Weezing. It is all good. And then we can Smog Burst here. Now, each of those Dark Energies in play is now worth 2 Darkness Energies. So we are cooking with gas now, dealing 140 damage for just 3 energy in play. And I don't know if you've noticed, but Decidueye has 140 HP. So at the moment, we are taking 1 shots, whilst our opponent is only realistically going to be able to 2-hit our Weezing. So having taken 2 prizes and putting ourselves in a position to 1-shot their Decidueyes, I'm 99% certain that we are going to be able to get ourselves a comfortable win here. No quick shooting Inteleon there means as well that our opponent cannot take the knockout on the Weezing this turn. Looks instead like they're going to rare candy into another Decidueye and potentially Marnie us out of this hand, which is not that big of a deal. I'm not too worried about it, to be honest. Obviously, the hand is fine, but I would prefer, if I can, to get a supporter. I do like the idea of a supporter, and a Marnie is perfectly acceptable as a supporter. So let's grab that. I think it is going to be fine here. We're going to be able to take a knockout because we've got the extra energy, and then we can Marnie. And now we are cruising along. I think another thing that I'd really like to see is another Koffing. I don't really want to play this Moltres down, to be honest, because it's weak to grass. Let's take a knockout on the Decidueye. 180 damage. 4 energy in play is pretty gosh darn good. I would like to see another Koffing, like I said, because, oh, well, there you go. Our opponent just concedes. Well, I mean, the combo worked. You all saw it. It happened. So, a pretty neat little budget deck there. Pretty solid. Not amazing, but definitely acceptable, and one that you can definitely put together relatively cheaply. Playability-wise, I'm giving this one a C. You're not going to be able to take on too many of the big decks, but obviously, having weakness over the big dog that is Shadow Rider Calyrex is possibly one of the best weaknesses to deal at the moment. Consistency-wise, I'm giving it a C. We only saw both Weezings in play once in the entire video, which is unfortunate, and we have so many different Weezings here. It's almost impossible to get this to work every time, but when it does, it's pretty good. Value-wise, very, very cheap, very affordable. Obviously, we're going to lose the Dedenne and Oricorio in a few weeks, so maybe not worth investing in too much, but you know what? The attackers are pretty cool, and fun-wise, I'm giving this one a B. A pretty solid deck. Overall, a C+, worth a try, especially if you already have the cards sitting around. And once again, thank you very much to all of my channel members, those of you who have stuck with me through this elongated period where content hasn't been coming. Thank you very much. I'm glad to know that you are still very supportive. To the people whose name is on the screen, thank you very much, especially to Azazel and Wilds Depot, who have put in a lot of support recently. Fernando Yolo, Stephen Ty, Agent Abel, Austin Josiah, Leaf Devour, Robsy, Shings, Justin, Crocotaku, Drew, Camronius, and DJ and Tay. You guys are heroes, as well as everyone over here in white. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time for more from the Sableyes. Bye.